Hey everyone, it's Jeff. This is How to Speak Nebraskan. Today I'm going to be interviewing Chais Meyer. He's an entrepreneur, business owner, and hails from Kearney, Nebraska. Chais and I went to high school together, and in getting ready for this podcast, I knew Chais has run some businesses over the years and thought he would be a pretty cool person to interview. He and I have not actually spoken since high school. In getting ready for this interview, I thought I knew some of the cool things he has done. But as we were getting ready for this, he sent me a more detailed rundown of the last 20 years of his life. And I got to say, I was pretty blown away by the adventurous and exciting life he and his wife have led. And even better than being an entrepreneur, Chais seems to have an infectious way of bringing people together and promoting community. Even on his Facebook profile, he has an intro on his page that says, I believe that authentic connection and kindness is the language of our world. I'm here to make an impact. He's an easy person to like, and you'll have a friend in Chais Meyer when we're done with this interview. So let's welcome Chais. Chais, how you doing, buddy?
Wow, that was so good. I'm doing really good. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good. So yeah, do you kind of like having a little intro about yourself?
Oh my gosh, it builds the ego up. That's for sure. No, it feels
Yeah.
really good. And I always feel weird talking without Shauna because she's been my counterpart in all the things, business and life for 20 years. But no, man, I appreciate the good vibes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I was actually, well, I think we'll get to that because that was actually going to be something I asked you about is all of the things you've done in how you and Shauna have seemed like you've experienced this together. We're going to get to that actually here in a little bit.
Cool.
So just so others are aware, just like I said, so I was kind of as I was kind of getting ready for this, I was going down memory lane a little bit. And as I said, you and I doubt we have spoken since high school, right? I mean, I am 2 years older than you. I know. You could either say I'm older and
Mhm.
wiser or that you're younger and more fashionable. I mean, however, whatever you want to say, but I was kind of thinking just about, we're Facebook friends and I was like, how do Chais and I even actually really know each other? And I was
Mm.
trying to think back. I believe we did track together.
Yep,
We both did like kind of youth group stuff. I think in different
hmm
churches actually, but I feel like we had some like friends in common through that. And occasionally, I
we
think
did.
we actually hung out a few times, maybe with like groups of friends periodically. Now, does that ring a bell to you? Is that stick out as like about the way we know each other?
No, absolutely, absolutely. And Harry Samuelson, he was one of your good friends, right, in high school?
Yes,
Yep. And
yes.
so yeah, and so you guys hung out with Shauna's circle. So I had Shauna's circle of friends that I made my way into, and then I think we all kind of became buddy buddies throughout the years. It was really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I gotta love those connections. And so, well, awesome. Well, as I was kind of, also as I stated earlier, I was getting ready for this podcast because you've done some really cool business ventures, and I could not help but just be like, wow, I would love to know more about Chais. And as I said, I really couldn't believe when you sent me like, here's a rundown of my last 20 years, and then you sent me all these other details. I was like, whoa, like it was only what I knew, the little bit I knew of what you've done, I thought that was pretty cool. But it's actually feels like it's only a pretty small piece of the pie when you add it all together.
It's been a wild 20 years from all sorts of angles and all around the world, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Made me who I am.
Yeah. So let's start a little bit initially with the business side of it. Because I do feel as though if somebody were to I'm just making this weird assumption. Okay. So if somebody were to maybe list 10 words that describe Chais Meyer, perhaps, I I would think I feel like you would have to put the word entrepreneur as one of those words,
Mm.
just because it's not like you have a lot of times people say they're an entrepreneur, they've maybe opened a business or they've had a business opportunity, which is great. You seem like you've had a lot of experiences with this, and so I really just kind of actually want to start down this path initially. How
Mhm.
did you kind of go down this path of becoming an entrepreneur?
I don't. That's so. First off, that's a great compliment. Thank you very much. I aspire to be a good entrepreneur, and until then, I'll continue to fail and fail often. But it is for me, it's like I don't know if it's so much as I chose it or it was in my blood or how that works exactly. But I'd have to give some credit to my Meyer family because the my dad's side, almost all of them, probably like 3/4 of them, have their own business or have had their own business. And I have like 11 or 12 aunts and uncles from that side. So they're all pretty inspirational that way. And so I don't know if it's from osmosis, being around them and then ultimately thinking, oh, this is how it's done. Or if it's just I have a contagious desire to learn, and business is a really great tool to be able to learn better. But I started selling my first thing at a garage sale when I was like 8. I sold some Matchbox cars or something like that. Got ripped off by a guy that came by and said, "Hey, I'll give you $10 for those cars." And I was like, "Oh, people will give me money for my stuff? Great, here you go." And then my mom later said, "That's like worth $50." And I'm like, "I have $10 right here. This is okay." And and didn't understand that whole thing yet. But then it just turned into in high school, I really started to explore with creativity and started making jewelry, making hemp jewelry, just because it was a fun outlet. And I started selling that stuff at craft fairs. So I would make like $600 on a weekend, and I was like, "This is legitimate. Like it's fun. I'm able to turn my hobby into something that brings me some cash out of a twine, right? A twine and some beads." And then I think that just sparked my love of the concept of trading energy for money, and
Wow.
just wanted to see what that path looked like.
That's cool. So, I mean, just so maybe a quick little rundown of the businesses you've either
Mm-hmm.
started, co-started, or one, I mean, I know it's probably kind of a combination of
Mm,
all those things. So, a couple of them that just, is you had started a business a while back, Control Yours is what it was called. So
mm-hmm.
you help manage websites, which is still up and running with your former business partner.
Correct.
You did the travel thing, which we're going to talk about that in a little bit too. You did the travel thing. You kind of ran sort of this online business through that. It sounds like a little bit of kind of a travel blog, but you kind of morphed it into
Mm-hmm.
a business opportunity. You've run a
Mm-hmm.
t-shirt business, which you still are currently running, 24-hour tees. You operate
Mm-hmm.
another business called Nest Space, a collaborative and co-working space. Your wife runs a
Mm-hmm.
design business, Shauna Meyer
Mm-hmm.
Design. And you told me you're looking into other business ventures right now. I mean, I gotta be, I can't even keep up with you, man. Like, this is crazy.
Well, so back in the day, it was all about like, let's throw some stuff at the wall and see what sticks, right? So it wasn't. I wouldn't say that I was like laser focused on anything at any point for the last 12 years or something. I think that 24-hour teas was my first real attempt to have something run for a long time, and it was my best teacher so far, right? Like 24-hour teas, a decade old business, has taught me more than $1 million college tuition could have taught me. And in all the aspects of dealing with humans and marketing and business operations, working in a small market like Kearney, Nebraska, and then focusing on scale and trying to make something a little more, reach a little further. So yeah, man, I think it's been a little all over the place business wise, but I found out, when I built Control Yours with David Lano, we he was way more passionate about it than I was after we'd been doing it a while. And I was like, this is not good for anyone, right? I don't want to be the anchor that slows everything down. And so it made sense for him to just take it over. And it is absolutely thriving today. So if you guys need a custom built website, David Lano is a good person to reach out to with Control Yours. But yeah, but then the other stuff, right? The other stuff was having a travel blog was a really great way for Shauna and I to travel the world and sell ads. And it was our first experience. And you can sell advertisements by writing and do what you want in your life. And that's wild, right?
That is wild. It
So
is
that just
wild.
it is. It's a weird thing. And yeah, so that it just kept evolving into better and better things. But now I'm actually feel like I'm starting to get decent at it. You know,
Okay.
who knows?
So okay, let's talk about this travel blog thing because that was the part where I really like when you sent me kind of like, hey, here's a little rundown of things I've been doing. I was like, whoa, you said that you just you sold your belongings, you and Shauna, and just moved to
Hmm.
Southeast Asia just like that? Like how did
Yeah,
how did you
yeah.
come to that?
Yeah, so it was a weird thing. I mean, so step back 1 minute. When I was making hemp jewelry in high school, I ended up selling, thousands of dollars of it and made some really good templates that I was able to repeat fairly efficiently. And I met a family friend, the Shavanaz,
I
right?
do. Yeah. Yep.
So Mike Shabana, the father, he's like a second dad to me, and he kind of took me under his wing. He had some missionary stuff he was doing in India at the time. He was helping build churches and things like that in rural India. And there was Andhra Pradesh, India, Southeast India. There was a church he built, and the villagers there wanted an alternative option for income. They didn't want to just have to collect rice and all of that. So his plan was to provide them with an outlet, and he chose me as the person that could potentially teach them um, how to make jewelry, and then this jewelry would potentially be sold in large chain stores. Right, that was the concept. So
Oh,
I went to India for a month and taught this village. They didn't speak any English. Totally weird, wild, fun experience. And just all body language and drawing, like templates. I taught them how to make jewelry, and that was my first love of international travel. I'd never done anything like that before. And Shauna wanted to go to Australia for. She was ultimately looking at being a marine biologist. She wanted to go to school for that. Between that and interior design was kind of a toss up. And she ended up not going to Australia. So we're in Kearney, Nebraska, right? This is like 13, 14 years ago. And we're driving down 39th Street and just left her grandma's house. And this car crosses 2 lanes of traffic and hits our car head on. So
oh,
Shauna
geez.
and I are driving along. So it was a fairly dramatic thing. Our engine block came into the front seat of our car. Like it was, we seat belts burned holes through our shirts. Shauna
Oh my
got fairly messed up,
gosh.
dislocated elbows and stuff. We didn't die, right? But it was a wake up call. It was like, hey, are you sure that you want to be born in Kearney, Nebraska, and die in Kearney, Nebraska without experiencing something? And that was like what we both said is like, let's see what we can do with our life. Let's do something weird. And if we almost died in our hometown, then worst case we almost die somewhere else. So let's just go somewhere else. And yeah, so we just decided like Southeast Asia. Our friends, Mike Niffler, Mike Niffler,
I
right?
do. Uh-huh. Yeah, great
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, great guy. He inspired us actually to travel to Southeast Asia. He'd been there just a year or two before, and so we were like, okay, let's do it. So we liquidated all of our stuff, bought researched backpacking and what the sort of stuff you needed to bring, and we just had single backpacks, the big ones. But we flew to Indonesia and one-way tickets. We had no idea what we were doing. Spent a month in Indonesia and then ended up backpacking up Southeast Asia and staying in Thailand. But being able to take all the wild experiences that we had and translate them into story to share with others was massively rewarding. But then also, because we were getting such good views, that the travel blog scene was not oversaturated at the time. We just had random companies reach out and say, can we put our ads on your blog posts and we'll give you this much money in a month? And we were like, what? You're going to pay us $1,000 for a blog post? Okay, sure, let's do that.
Yeah.
And then that just became our primary income stream after we sold the website business.
Oh my gosh. Here's the thing. If we had a whole lot of time, I would probably ask you a whole lot of questions about your time in Southeast Asia, because I feel like
Sure.
we could do a whole podcast. But I do, so I won't go down too far down the path, but I'm going to go down that path just a little bit. Um, so you said you got there, you did some researching on backpacking, all of that. I mean, I just got to ask you just a couple of quick questions. Like, when you showed up, did you know where you were going to sleep at? Like, how do you figure that stuff out? That stuff seems so scary.
Yeah, no, we really didn't know anything. Actually, when we went to the LAX airport for our outbound flight to Indonesia, um, we did not know you had to have proof that you were planning on leaving the country. And
Oh,
because otherwise you could just squat. I didn't understand that. And so they said, no, you cannot leave the United States unless you have proof that you're leaving Indonesia, like a return flight or a bus out of the country or a flight to another country. So Shauna and I were just panicking. We just went and bought a real fast Air Asia ticket, airline ticket out of the country a month after we landed, and we just showed the proof that we bought it, and they're like, okay, you're good. So we knew nothing. We knew nothing. So when we showed up in Indonesia, we didn't know anything about anything, and we just kind of made our way. It was good.
oh my gosh, that is so wild. And so, and that was a ticket you just you bought it and then just basically pitched it later, like that was it.
Yeah, we said, if we're not going to use this ticket, then we can just burn it, because Air Asia tickets are super, super cheap. I think it was like $50 a person to go to the next country. So we were like,
Gotcha.
it's $100, right? It's not that
Right.
big a deal. But I think we did end up using it a month later to go to Singapore.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. Okay, so real quick, again, I just want to go down this a little because this is exciting. When you reflect back on all that time, you probably have a lot of different memories, a lot of different stories. What's like a memory or two of just that experience in general that really sticks out to you of when you and Shauna did that together?
Well, it's the unknown, right? I think that when you go into the unknown, there is potentially fear associated with that, because we humans typically assume the worst case scenario about something, but there's also incredible adventure in that. And I think if you can go into the unknown with an optimistic attitude, and there's a saying that is, if you are beautiful, everywhere is beautiful. And I think that's like your perspective on the world. But it seems like the world shines on you when you smile at the world, and that kind of just happened to us. So it was our unfolding of ourselves to realize that um, the world is not a scary place. It's only a scary place if you choose to make it that. It's very beautiful, very kind, and um, Indonesia was very raw. It was not polished. I mean, um, horrible internet. They call Wi-Fi Wi-Fi. It's crazy, crazy stuff.
Okay.
No, but
That's great.
it was great.
Well, that's awesome. I love that. If you are beautiful, if what did you say? If you are beautiful, the world is
If
beautiful.
Yeah, if you are beautiful, everywhere is beautiful. Yep.
Everywhere is beautiful. I love that.
Mm.
That's awesome. So you do that for a couple of years. You come back and decide you're going to land back in Kearney then. Were you trying to kind of decide like, okay, are we going back home or whatever? So is that kind of was Kearney like intentionally there? Then you're like, all right, let's go back and open a business. How did you decide when you were coming back to the US that that was going to be your next step? Did you do that right away, immediately, or did it take a while?
I think this is kind of just going with the flow. That this is Shauna's and my life, is we just kind of go with the flow as much as possible. But coming back home was never planned in the way that it happened. Um, we were renting a house in Kearney, and we had a kitten before we left, and we didn't know what to do with the kitten. My cousin, my female cousin Tatiana, she um, really, like, I think she wanted to stay in a new place or something, and we said, hey, how about you just rent the house that we're in? You could just keep it, and then we'll come back and take it back over, and then you can go on with your life, and during that time you can watch our cat and all this stuff. And she somehow agreed to it, which I'm
Great.
Tatiana, if you're listening, I love you, thankful for you. But she agreed to it. And then at the end of the 2 years or whatever it was, she was over it. right? She was like, we weren't expecting to be gone that long. We were expecting to be
Right.
gone for like 6 months to a year. And then she's like, guys, it's been 2 years. You got to come back. And that really kind of made the decision for us. It's like, okay, it's probably time for us to go back and be the new version of ourselves in our hometown and see what we can do there.
I love that. Be a new version of yourself back in your hometown. Talk a little bit about that. Was that like sort of dramatic coming back after 2 years and with this huge
Mm.
life experience? Was it huge and did it hit you hard, or was it kind of just so simple and fluid, like you didn't think much of it? How was that experience?
It was dramatic. I think that actually the most dramatic thing was after being a year in Thailand, we had to renew our visa, and to renew our visa, we had to come back to the States. And so we came back to the States to stay with Shauna's mom for a year, or I'm sorry, for a week or something like that. And um, when we came back, it was such a culture shock, right? In Thailand, everything is crazy affordable. The plate of food for fresh Thai food being made for you at the market is $1. So a whole plate of Thai food for $1. And our we had a studio apartment at the time, and that was crazy affordable. It was like $200 or something. We owned a motorbike. We had iPhones with data. Our total expenses for 2 years was like $12,000. So it was very, very
Wow.
affordable to live there. And so when we came back, we had culture shock of pricing is so much more. We forgot how it was. Also, Thailand is known as the land of smiles because everyone is happy. Everyone is trying to do their best to put positivity onto other people. And it's a land of self-responsibility. So when you come back to the US and you have that massive juxtaposition of not everyone is happy in the same per capita.
Right.
And it was really rough. So I spent one night just like bawling. So we knew what we were expecting, what was going to happen after we came back after 2 years. But we absolutely made the best of it, right? When we came back, we had no cars. It was winter time or coming close to winter. And so we were literally riding our bicycles in the snow everywhere we went. And we just kind of had to rebuild everything. And so it was fairly dramatic in that way. But honestly, that's how you become better people, right? Going through adversity.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can imagine that, just having this experience where you think the culture shock is going to come in the other country. And then it actually happens when
Mm-hmm.
you come back home, and just the feeling that comes with of, wow, I'm supposed to be used to this place. I've grown up here. I know people, like like the back of your hand, but to come back and
Mm-hmm.
you're the one that's changed. And so you view it differently, I'm sure is pretty
Yep.
crazy.
That's it. That's
Absolutely.
exactly it.
Absolutely. Now, we got a brief message for you. Hello, friends. I'm so glad you joined this How to Speak Nebraskan podcast, a place where great Nebraskans are interviewed, ideas get discussed, and we share stories going on in this great state and beyond. You can find this podcast on Amazon, Spotify, Google, and other streaming services. You can also find it on my website, howtospeaknebraskan.com. Now, we'll return to the episode. So then, okay, you came back, and kind of skipping ahead, there was this point in time you opened up the t-shirt business, and which is now
Mm-hmm.
called 24-hour tees, and it sounds like it's been a really successful business, and you've grown that. Um, Tell me a little bit about that process. How did you decide on this t-shirt business?
Flying by the seat of our pants. I mean, we started an online t-shirt company called Shirt Sayings while we were in Thailand. And Shirt Sayings, the intention of it was to create positive and uplifting typographic inspirational messages, right? If a t-shirt can be a billboard representing who and what you want the world to become, then let's help spread positivity. Let's help spread joy. And since we were kind of art people, I mean, we spent our last year of senior in high school. Sean and I both spent like 4 hours a day in the art room. We really appreciate arts, and so we ended up working with international designers to design these shirts, and then we would sell them, and then they would get printed and shipped from the U.S. using a third-party company. And it was that evolved. I mean, once we came back, that evolved into, okay, if we're going to have this company that designs stuff and sells it, but doesn't print and ship it, we're really missing out on quality control. We're missing out on the process, and we're missing out on profitability of the actual printing and shipping. So we decided, let's just see what that's like. And we ended up buying a single, it's a printer called direct to garment printer. Just like an inkjet printer prints on paper, it printed directly on the shirts. And that was our first thing. So we could only print one t-shirt at a time. And I would just use Photoshop, and people would come into our our super unprofessional store in hindsight,
Nice.
and
Yeah.
and it was super ghetto, and they would say, hey, my daughter's having this birthday bash this weekend, I wanted to make a funny t-shirt for her. And I'd be like, great, let's design it. We just design one shirt at a time, print it up, and they'd take it home, right? And so that's how it all started, and then it just kept evolving from there.
Okay. And now it's called 24-hour teas. Is that like a 24-hour turnaround? Is that what that means? Or what does the 24-hour mean?
Yeah, so because I owned website companies, I understood the concept of SEO, right? Search engine optimization, which means coming up with a specific word that people that might be popular, might be powerful on the internet if someone actually Googles it, right? And so no one had 24-hour teas, and it was a fairly literal name. We could do things very quickly like that, so we started that brand, and that concept changed a lot down the road. So now we still provide the potential for 24-hour turnaround on orders. And actually, you can get much more than just one shirt in 24 hours. You do have to pay a rush fee if you want that. Our standard turnaround's 2 weeks. And if you want it in printed and shipped within 24 hours, you pay a rush fee, allows you to cut in front of the other customers, and we make your order a priority. And so it just kind of evolved over time, but yes, definitely efficiency was in the name.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So now you're um you're getting now to this point where you're wanting to transition the business. So you had this video posted the other day, and it's funny. I was going to reach out to you anyway. I was thinking about it. You had been in my head a little bit as
Mm.
I was kind of thinking through this new podcast, and I was like, oh, some people that would be fascinating to interview. But then I saw that you had this little video that you and Shauna posted where you're actually
Mhm.
getting ready to, and I don't even want to say, I don't want to take any words out of your mouth. It didn't even feel like you were using the word selling the business. Maybe you are, but you kind of were talking
Mm.
more. It felt like this feeling, this vibe of like sort of transitioning the business to another person. Talk a little bit about that and where you're at with that right now.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right, Jeff. We ultimately don't want we don't want this to be a cold thing, right? We spent 10 years of our life learning from it, grooming it, building it. So in a lot of ways, it's our first child. Um, and we just want to make sure that if we can, even though our interests in life, even though our passions are different than when we started it, even though that stuff has changed, if we can, we want 24-hour teas to be handed over to someone that wants to take it and continue to groom it, to continue to make it something else. And that's our intention. Is we just want to find the right person, hopefully local, that wants to potentially have if they want to be an owner operator where they actually work the business from the inside and they pay themselves and they pay staff. That is a great situation. And if multiple people want to get into it as like a partnership, that works too. And we've even had some interest from companies that are looking to buy it to have a second stream of income that's different from the industry they're already in. And we're currently in that phase right now where a lot of people are kicking tires and they are asking really good questions, and they're just seeing if it makes sense for them.
Wow. I would imagine that this will be some major decisions making that you and Sean are going to be doing in terms of how what kind of the direction this goes, huh?
Yeah, yeah. It hasn't been an easy process in the sense of our own emotions. Like I said, it's like our first child. So um, lots of baggage associated with it that happened over the years. There's also immense positivity that's happened with it. And so it's just an emotional thing, and very beautiful though. I wouldn't have it any other way. This transition is exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. So now one thing that we kind of talked a little bit at the beginning that we touched on that's really interesting and really cool to see is out of all of these things you've talked about, all of these really cool experiences, you and your wife have definitely been partners in all of these parts of it, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
anyone when you get married, your partner, your spouses, however you want to call it, right? However you want to frame it, but also with your businesses, your travel, I mean, all of these different things. Can you just talk a little bit about that connection that you kind of and your wife have of this journey that you've taken together and how it's been everything from not just being married, but being married while traveling and owning a business and having to like grow up together. How talk about that a
Mm.
little.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, we first started dating when she was 15, and then we had some off time, and then had on time, and off and on, and we we really have known each other at almost all the stages, which is really, really interesting. But here's a really trippy story I think you'll appreciate. So even before Shauna and I were a glimmer in our parents' eyes, um, her mom and and my mom lived next door to each other, which we didn't
Oh,
know this. Shauna, when we met, we didn't know this at all. But even better, my mom slept walked into her mom's house one night and got into bed with her mom. And this is
what?
like a story that after Shauna and I had been dating for like, I don't know, a few weeks or something like that, and my mom met her. That's the story that she said. It's like, you're not going to believe this, but I actually slept walked into your mom's bed when I was in high school. So it's like this
What?
weird thing. It's this weird thing that doesn't make any sense, right? It's like, how is that even possible? So there's been some sort of weird connection between Shauna and I for a long time, even before we were born. And now we really are all the things. I mean, it doesn't make it easy all the time, right? Because I know her the best out of anybody. She knows me the best out of anybody. But sometimes that means I'm also the most hard on her compared to other people, right? I'll have incredible empathy, or I'll talk very patiently with like employees during a hard time, even when I'm frustrated with them. But Shauna sometimes doesn't see the best of me because we're so connected in so many ways, right? So that's been really it's been really fascinating. But we really did grow up together. We've gone through almost all the experiences together. And yeah, living 24/7 together overseas was very, very hard. In a studio apartment was very hard for the first little bit, and then we grew to love it. And um, now we really are best friends, business partners, life partners, and um, we make a really good team. So it's all been very positive for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Do you Do you think you and Shauna would have been able to run these businesses together and work together the way you have through all for the good times and the challenging times had you not lived in Southeast Asia together like that? Like would that have made these last years in the business world a lot harder had you not done that? Did you need that
For
together?
sure. For sure. I think it's like yeah, it's like lifting weights, right? You can't go into the gym today and put 300 pounds on the bench press and expect to lift it. You have to start small and then keep working up. And I think that's what that is. The 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 issues that we run through in life are ultimately things that build us up. And we always say that we call it leveling up. We say, okay, this is very challenging right now, but we're leveling up. We're going to a new level, and we're able to hold more. We're able to contain more. And just looking back at our younger selves, it's kind of comical at how much we wouldn't have been able to hold, right? Because we hadn't had the challenge to attempt to grow. And I love this thing. Sorry if I'm long winded here, but
No, you're fine.
I
This is
love
great.
this. Okay, cool. There's two different types of stress. Are you familiar with this?
I think so, but you go ahead and share.
Yeah. Well, there's distress and there's eustress. And distress is like the stress that literally tears apart, and eustress is the stress that builds. So
Yep.
you go into the gym, and again, you lift 400 pounds when you're not ready for it. That is distress, and it'll tear the muscle off your bones. But if you go into the gym consistently and you have consistent growth over time, it tears the muscles little tiny bits, little tiny bits. And the healing of the muscles is what makes it stronger, right? That's how
Hmm.
you grow in muscle fiber. That is eustress. And I think that that is a really interesting thing because
Yeah.
human perspective, we can look at any stressful situation as either distress or eustress, but it's all based on personal perspective.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and no question that the experiences you've had to balance both sides of that type of stress together. So, and
Yep.
wow, that is amazing. And I will just say, her Shauna's design business. I saw like that website. She's still seems so creative, and it's so cool that she's got her kind of own thing too that she started, and so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's so she's so good at it. I mean, she made Nest Space look like it belongs in New York City, right? Like it's a thing that does not make sense in Kearney, Nebraska. It is
It looks
it
amazing. I
is
saw the
so nice.
pictures. Yes, I saw the pictures. It's last May, I was in Kearney doing had this little trip for a day. I had a little spare time to walk around through downtown, and actually I looked for your space. This is before the podcast was even a thing, before I even had thought of it. And so I was gonna come in and say hi. And actually I saw some guy in there and I waved, and he's like, "Did you need something?" And I said, "No, I was just gonna come and say hi to Chase." And I'm like, "Actually, I need to get going," but I was like, "Thank you." So yeah, it looks amazing. It is a beautiful, beautiful space for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
kudos to
okay,
her. But you need to come stop by. Come
I
stop
will.
by. You get next time
Yes.
you're in town, please do.
Okay, I will. I will. I will make it a point to reach out to you when I'm stopping by and let you know that I'll be there. So, what kind of getting close to the end? So we talked a little bit of this 24-hour teas. You're working on it on transitioning it, perhaps to another person or group at some point here in the near future. What's kind of next for you? You've got this next space, which is doing great. Shauna's got her business. What are you? Do you have this like? Do you ever like want to slow down, or is it like, nope, we got other ideas and we're kind of going for it? Where are you at in that process?
There's and maybe this is with everyone that would be like quote unquote entrepreneurial, right? I have this issue that I'm currently trying to solve, and that issue is the shiny thing syndrome. And I think that
Yeah.
right, and I think when you see something shiny and you're someone like me that has confidence enough to believe that you can build anything, that it's easy to get distracted. And right now, I'm doing my best. This is called the year of discipline for me. So
Okay,
every
great.
day, yeah, I know, yeah, yeah. So every day, I'm tracking measurable metrics about my personal life, and I haven't missed a day tracking it. And it's all the things that I value the most. And so I say that to say that I am attempting not to get into random businesses. I'm attempting to refine my skill sets, prune down the stuff that we're no longer truly passionate about, and just focus on the passions. So Nest Space, we plan to be very entrepreneurial. So we want it to be the entrepreneurial hub of central Nebraska. And we're working
Great.
on building programs around that right now. So my goal is to walk into the space, since it's 24/7, walk into the space sometime in the next year and see like 10 or 20 people here at 7 p.m. at night. They're all entrepreneurs. They're all working on their own things, but they can rub shoulders with like-minded people, and they can build stuff together as a community, building it individually, but the community supports, right? Because we don't have something like that here, and
Right.
it's needed. I would have loved that. So if we can get Nest Space to that point, Shauna can focus on her design business, and we to make all the businesses that we've built run. We have another business called Business Integrations, and that business focuses on building automations. So the
Okay.
only way we can run small businesses with very few employees or without a lot of human error is to make sure that we have a lot of automations in place. So over the past 6-7 years, we've learned how to build our own automations, and now we've started doing it for other companies. And so that's going to be one of my core roles that I step into, is working on the automation side, while I do some automation consulting for other businesses.
Wow. Well, I will say, you're right. As you said, there's nothing out in central Nebraska like what you're doing. And there's no doubt the city of Kearney is lucky to have you and Shauna there. Nebraska is lucky to have you in it and with everything you're doing. I want to ask you kind of one final question here as we're getting ready to wrap up.
Sure.
You said this year was the year of discipline for you.
Mm.
What, and you're part of that is maybe monitoring kind of what you're doing, but right now, what does that mean to you, the year of discipline? What are you doing to try to make that happen for yourself?
I appreciate that question. So I've recognized that um, I am the only one responsible for my thoughts and my actions. And my thoughts create emotions within my body, and my emotions trigger chemical reactions. Right? Like if I didn't have a specific emotion about something related to like fear or anxiety, I would not have a flush run through my body. Right? But all of that is triggered by my thoughts. So the
Yep.
year of discipline for me is to get my thoughts under control. And when I say under control, I mean, I don't want to think negative at all. Like I have zero, I want to rid myself of negativity. And
Love it.
it requires discipline, it requires effort, right? But I think it's the, I can only be responsible for myself. And I think if I want other people to be good leaders and good husbands and good parents, then I need to lead by example. And that's the way I can do it.
Awesome. Well, Chase, this has been so much fun visiting with you. I really, really appreciate your time, and it's just so cool to hear about everything you have doing. I wish you the best of luck in everything.
Dude, thank you so much for letting me blab. And I'm sorry I didn't get to ask you any questions. I
Hey,
want to
that's
know about your
okay.
life.
Hey, we'll definitely take time to talk about that too. So I really appreciate your time, and if you want, you can chat. We'll stay on a little bit, but for now, we'll go ahead and end the recording here.
Cool.
Chase, it's been a blast.
Jeff, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you very much.
Yep, thank you, Chase. It was amazing to visit with Chase. He's so honest and open. I really feel fortunate to have connected with him. As I said at the beginning, he's an easy guy to like. If you're ever in Kearney, be sure to check out Nest Space if you want a place to work or collaborate. This is How to Speak Nebraskan.